Hello, my name is Dr. John Matthews. I'm 80 years old and still practicing medicine every day at my small clinic here in California. After more than 5 decades in traditional medicine and elder care, I've come to realize something simple, yet often overlooked. Your longevity doesn't depend on how many pills you take, but on how you treat your body. Especially your neck. I say this not just as a doctor, but as someone who's walked the same path many of you are on. I've felt the stiff neck, the heavy shoulders, the unexplained dizziness, the restless nights. And for a long time I thought, well, this is just aging. But it's not. We don't grow old just because time passes. We grow old because our body stops working the way it's meant to. Today I want to share what I've learned, not just from textbooks or conferences, but from decades of real-life patients and from my own journey of healing. We're going to start with one of the most neglected yet powerful parts of the body, the neck. This small area holds the key to your blood pressure, your sleep, your digestion, even your mood and memory. So let's take it step by step, gently, simply, and rediscover the strength and vitality that's still within you. Because aging well isn't just about living longer, it's about living fully. Over the years, I've come to realize that the neck is not just another part of the body, it is the lifeline. Every signal from your brain to your body, every command, every bit of communication your nervous system sends out, all of it must pass through the neck. And yet, most people pay it no attention until something starts to go wrong. What's truly alarming is how often those small problems with the neck become the gateway to much bigger health issues. When the neck becomes stiff, tight, or misaligned, even slightly, it doesn't just affect mobility or posture. It begins to interfere with the body's entire communication system. In my decades of practice, I've seen how a stiff neck can accelerate aging dramatically. I'm talking about memory loss showing up years too early, sudden spikes in blood pressure, blood sugar becoming unstable, and even emotional challenges like depression, anxiety, and insomnia. Many of my patients had no idea that all of this could be connected to something as ordinary as their neck. But what really shook me, and what I want to share with you today, is the impact on something most people have never heard of: the vagus nerve. It runs from your brainstem, through your neck, and down into your major organs like the heart, lungs, and digestive system. It's like the body's inner peacekeeper. It regulates your ability to relax, to digest, to heal, and when your neck is tight or out of balance, this vital nerve gets compressed, leading to a wide range of seemingly unrelated symptoms. One small issue in the neck can cause a domino effect, throwing off your nervous system, your sleep, your digestion, even how you handle stress. I've seen people who thought they were simply getting old, who felt their energy slipping away and assumed it was inevitable. But when we addressed the tension and alignment in their neck, gently, consistently, they got their lives back. Their blood pressure stabilized, their sleep deepened, their minds became clearer, and most importantly, they felt like themselves again. That's what I mean when I say a stiff neck can cost you 10 years of life, not just in length, but in quality. One of the most damaging things I see, especially in people over 70, is something so common it slips right under our awareness: posture. I've watched patient after patient walk into my clinic with headaches, shoulder pain, brain fog, and even digestive issues. And often, the root cause isn't some major illness, it's how they hold their head while watching TV or reading a book. These days, smartphones make it even worse. I had a gentleman in his early 70s, retired, loved watching old westerns on his tablet in bed. He'd lean his head forward, shoulders hunched, for hours every night. He thought the stiffness in his neck and his morning dizziness were signs of aging, but when we corrected his posture, raised his screen to eye level, taught him to sit back with support, and got him moving, within 2 weeks he told me, "Doc, I feel 10 years younger." It's incredible how something so small can make such a difference. Another habit that's quietly harming so many older adults is their choice of pillow. It seems simple, soft or firm, high or low, but I can't tell you how many times I've treated a patient whose problem started with the wrong pillow. If your pillow is too high, your neck bends forward all night. Too low and it strains in the opposite direction. Either way, it disrupts the natural curve of the cervical spine. One of my longtime patients, Mrs. Kim, 82 years old, used a thick memory foam pillow because it felt cozy. She came to me with persistent numbness in her hands and constant fatigue in the mornings. After checking her neck alignment and asking a few questions, I gently suggested she try a thinner, more supportive pillow that matched the natural curve of her neck. Just 3 nights later, she called me and said, "I slept through the night for the first time in months." It's not just about the neck being stiff. It's about the accumulated habits that make it that way. That's why I always tell my patients, every small posture, every minute of screen time, every hour of poor sleep position, it adds up. The neck may seem like a small area, but it's where your entire nervous system flows. Caring for it isn't luxury, it's essential. And the good news is, many of these problems are reversible. That's why in the next part of this video, I'll guide you through practical, gentle habits that can bring remarkable changes, not in months or years, but in just days. Let's keep going. Some of the most powerful healing tools I've ever come across don't come in a bottle or a prescription pad. They come from your own body. Simple movements, done with awareness, that can awaken circulation, restore balance, and reconnect you with parts of yourself that may have gone quiet over time. One of the exercises I often recommend starts with something incredibly gentle, just tilting your head side to side. It may sound trivial, but this movement, done slowly, without force, helps loosen the deep muscles along the side of your neck that often become stiff from years of poor posture and tension. I remember Mr. Thomas, a former music teacher in his late 70s, who came to see me because he constantly felt off balance. He said it was like his head wasn't sitting right on his body. After examining his posture, I showed him how to gently tilt his head toward each shoulder while sitting up straight. Just 5 minutes in the morning and evening. After 2 weeks, he walked into my office and said, "Doc, it's like my head found its place again." His dizziness had eased, his sleep improved, all from a movement so small most people overlook it. Breath is another doorway to healing that I wish more people understood. The 4-2-6 breathing technique, inhale through the nose for 4 seconds, hold for 2, then exhale slowly through the mouth for 6, has become one of the most effective tools in my practice. But there's something even more powerful. Adding a soft "hoo" sound as you breathe out. That vibration stimulates the vagus nerve, which is responsible for calming your body, improving digestion, lowering blood pressure, and even easing anxiety. One patient, a woman named Linda in her early 80s, had suffered from chronic insomnia for nearly a decade. She'd tried every pill, every natural remedy, nothing worked, until she committed to this breathing technique. We practiced together for a week. The first night she tried it before bed, she slept 6 hours straight. She called me the next morning in tears. "It's the first time in years I didn't wake up afraid." That's the power of your breath when it's used with care and rhythm. And then there's the spine. People forget that the neck is just the top of a much larger structure, the spine, which supports everything from your brain down to your hips. That's why I often teach my patients a simple seated side stretch. Sitting tall in a chair, hands behind the head, and gently leaning to the left and right, breathing deeply as they go. This movement not only helps release the mid-back and waist, it also brings the neck back into alignment. It's especially useful for people who sit long hours or have limited mobility. I taught this to Mr. Han, a retired engineer who used a cane due to back stiffness. He was skeptical at first. How could something so light do anything? But after just 3 weeks of practicing the stretch twice a day, he told me, "My back feels like it remembers how to move." He still uses his cane, but now he walks taller, steadier, and with much more confidence. These exercises are not just routines. They are a way of reminding your body that it is still capable of healing, of softening, of coming back to balance. In the next section, I'll share how we can build these small movements into your daily life. so they don't feel like chores but like quiet moments of returning home to yourself. If there's one thing I've learned after all these years, it's this. Healing doesn't always come from something big. It often begins with the small, steady things we do every day, the kind of movements that feel simple but speak deeply to the body. That's why I've spent decades refining a set of neck and spine exercises that anyone at any age can do. No machines, no pills, just your breath, your awareness, and a few minutes of your time. The first is something I call the gentle neck bow. Lowering your chin slowly toward your chest, holding for a few deep breaths, then gently lifting your head and tilting it slightly back without forcing anything. This forward and back motion creates space between the cervical vertebrae, allowing blood flow and energy to return to the spine. I had a patient, Mr. Delgado, a retired bus driver, who used to say it felt like his head was stuck on tight by the end of each day. We started with this simple movement twice a day. Within a week he called me and said, "It's like someone untied a knot behind my ears." That's how quickly your body can respond when you treat it with care. Next, I encourage patients to roll their shoulders in large circles using their elbows like a compass. It's not just about the shoulders. It's about unlocking the trapezius muscles which connect deeply into the neck and upper back. One of my favorite stories is about Mrs. Greer, who came in complaining of constant neck tension and tingling down her arms. She was convinced it was something serious, but after one session of guided shoulder rolls forward and backwards, slowly and with breath, she looked at me and said, "I didn't know my shoulders could move like that." Within 3 weeks of daily practice, her tingling vanished. Then comes one of the simplest and most overlooked motions. Tilting the head side to side, ear toward shoulder, just enough to feel the stretch, not to force it. This movement soothes the small stabilizer muscles around the neck and helps correct long-held imbalances. I had a patient in his 80s, a former gardener named Mr. Cho, who hadn't looked over his shoulder without pain in years. We worked on this tilt exercise every morning. After 2 weeks, he walked into my clinic, turned his head fully to the left, and smiled. "I can see my garden again." That moment meant everything to him. And let's not forget the breath. I've said it before and I'll say it again. 4-2-6 breathing is one of the most powerful medicines you carry within you. Breathe in through the nose for 4 seconds, hold for 2, and breathe out through the mouth for 6, adding a gentle "hoo" sound to stimulate the vagus nerve. I taught this to Ms. Hernandez, a widow who'd been battling anxiety and poor sleep since her husband passed. After just 1 week of evening breathing, she told me she felt calmer than she had in years. "It's like I have a switch now," she said, to turn off the storm inside. Lastly, I always include a gentle spinal stretch while seated. Hands clasped behind the head, slowly leaning to each side with breath. This movement reawakens the muscles along the spine and brings symmetry back into the torso. I recommended it to Mr. Allen, a 76-year-old man who hadn't been able to stand straight for more than 5 minutes. After 1 month of this simple movement twice daily, his posture began to shift. His wife even joked, "You're taller than you were at our wedding." These 5 movements, small, humble, and often underestimated, form a foundation, a ritual, a way back to yourself. If you do them daily, gently, and with presence, you'll begin to feel a shift not just in your body, but in your mood, your sleep, even your sense of purpose. In the next part, I'll show you how to make these practices a seamless part of your day, so they don't feel like one more thing to do, but like something you look forward to. Over the course of my career, I've witnessed transformations that many would call impossible, and they all started with something as simple as caring for the neck. No expensive treatments, no long lists of medications, just gentle, consistent practice and the willingness to believe that the body still wants to heal. One of my longtime patients, Mr. Lawrence, was in his late 70s and had been taking blood pressure medication for over 15 years. When he first came to see me, his blood pressure still fluctuated wildly despite the pills. I asked him about his posture, his sleep, and how often he moved his neck. His answer was what I hear so often: "I haven't thought about my neck in years." We began a daily routine, simple stretches, breath work, and a few minutes of gentle neck massage in the morning and before bed. Within a month, his numbers started to stabilize. Within 3 months, under the supervision of his primary doctor, his medication dose was cut in half. "I didn't think I'd ever live without those pills," he told me, but his body remembered how to balance. It just needed the chance. Then there was young Daniel, just 11 years old, brought to me by his worried parents. He had been struggling with a tic disorder for over a year, blinking rapidly, twitching his shoulders, often unable to concentrate at school. They had tried therapy, medication, dietary changes. Nothing seemed to help. When I examined him, I noticed tightness around his upper neck and jaw, and imbalance in the small muscles around his cranial base. We started with the softest approach: breathing games, neck massage with his parents, and light stretching. At first, progress was slow, but by the 3rd month, the tics were reduced by nearly half. By the 6th, they were barely noticeable. His mother said, "I got my son back." That case still moves me to this day, not because we did something extraordinary, but because we trusted in the body's quiet wisdom. And perhaps one of the most inspiring stories I can share is of Mrs. Eleanor, an 89-year-old woman with silver hair and the spirit of someone decades younger. She lived alone, cooked her own meals, and walked every morning around her neighborhood. When people asked her how she stayed so independent, she'd just smile and say, "I take care of my neck every day, like brushing my teeth." 10 years ago, she'd come to me with balance issues and shoulder pain. We started small, neck exercises, breathing, some warm compresses in the evening. She never missed a day. 10 years later, she still hasn't. She once told me, "The world sees my age, but my body knows different." These aren't miracles. They're simply the results of consistency, presence, and respect for the connection between our neck, our nervous system, and the rest of our life. In the next part, I'll walk you through how to build this into your daily rhythm so that it becomes as natural as waking up in the morning. Because when you give your body the right signals, it remembers how to thrive. The older I get, the more I've come to believe this one truth. The neck is not just a part of the body, it is the bridge. The bridge between your brain and your heart, between your thoughts and your heartbeat, between how you feel emotionally and how your body responds physically. I've seen people try to fix their digestion with pills, their anxiety with sedatives, their high blood pressure with stronger and stronger medications, only to find that nothing truly changes until they address the quiet tension sitting right at the base of it all, the neck. When your neck is free, your body breathes better. Your thoughts feel clearer, you sleep more deeply, you recover faster. And the best part, you don't need fancy machines, expensive treatments, or a suitcase full of medication. What you need is already within you: your breath, your awareness, your gentle daily care. That's what I've seen work again and again, not because it's magic, but because it respects the natural wisdom of your body. I often tell my patients, take care of your neck like you care for your heart. It's where everything flows. You may not see the results overnight, but give it a few weeks, even just a few minutes each day, and you'll start to feel the shift. Your body softens, your mind settles, and that tiredness that once felt like aging, it begins to lift. So if there's one message I hope you carry with you from this video, it's this: you are not too old, and it's not too late. Every day is a chance to feel better than yesterday. You don't need to chase youth, you just need to support what's already inside you. Thank you for spending this time with me. It's been an honor to share these lessons from a lifetime of listening, to patience, to the body, to what truly works. If this helped you, pass it on. Let someone else know that healing doesn't have to be hard. And until we meet again, take a deep breath. Roll your shoulders back, lift your head high, and give thanks for this body that still wants to carry you forward.